Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Learn English through Podcast Conversations. I'm Jennifer, and today, along with Thomas, we'll be discussing a topic that's essential for everyone managing finances. Listening to podcasts like this one can improve your listening and communication skills while helping you learn new information that's practical and applicable to your daily life. We'll cover budgeting, saving, spending wisely, and much more.
Exactly, Jennifer. This is something we all deal with, no matter where we are in life. Having financial control isn't just about saving money, it's about having peace of mind and ensuring that you're making decisions that benefit you in the long term. So, grab a notepad and let's dive right in.
Thomas, why do you think financial literacy is so important, especially today?
Well, Jennifer, in today's fast-paced world, financial literacy is crucial because we are constantly bombarded with ways to spend money. If we don't have a clear understanding of how to manage it, we can easily fall into debt or miss out on saving for future goals.
I agree. Understanding how to budget and save gives you more control over your life. It allows you to plan for big milestones like buying a house, starting a family, or even traveling.
Exactly, and being financially literate helps you avoid financial pitfalls. You're better prepared to handle emergencies, and you know how to make smarter decisions when it comes to investing or large purchases.
Plus, it's not just about individuals. Financial literacy can benefit families and even whole communities. When people understand money, they can help others around them make better choices.
Right. It's about long-term security, and even if you're not a financial expert, the basics like budgeting and saving go a long way in keeping your finances healthy.
So, let's start with the basics budgeting. Thomas, how do you approach creating a budget?
I think the first step in budgeting is tracking your spending. You need to know exactly where your money is going each month. I recommend listing out all your expenses: rent, food, utilities, subscriptions, and entertainment, and then comparing that to your income.
That's a solid approach. I like to break my budget down into categories: essential expenses, savings, and discretionary spending. This helps me prioritize what's important and keeps me from overspending on things I don't really need.
Absolutely, and another key point is to be realistic with your budget. If you're too strict, you might not stick to it. It's okay to allow for some fun, like going out to dinner, as long as it fits into your plan.
Exactly. Budgeting shouldn't feel like a punishment. It's about balance. You want to ensure that your needs are met, but that you're also planning for future goals, like saving for a vacation or building an emergency fund.
And speaking of emergencies, setting aside a portion of your budget for unexpected expenses is crucial. Whether it's car repairs or medical bills, having that cushion will prevent you from going into debt.
Once you've got your budget sorted, the next step is saving money. Thomas, do you have any tips for building up savings?
One of the easiest ways to save is by automating it. Set up a system where a portion of your income automatically goes into a savings account each month. That way, you're saving without even thinking about it.
That's a great idea. I also think it's helpful to set specific goals. Whether it's saving for a down payment on a house or an emergency fund, having a clear target keeps you motivated.
Absolutely. When you have a goal, you're more likely to stay disciplined. Another tip I have is to cut back on small, unnecessary expenses. Those daily coffees or extra streaming services add up over time. Small changes can lead to big savings.
Right, and it's all about finding that balance. You don't have to deprive yourself of everything, but being mindful of where your money goes can help you find areas where you can save more.
Exactly. And remember, it's okay to start small. Even saving a little bit each month adds up over time, and it's better than not saving at all.
You mentioned emergency funds earlier, Thomas. Why do you think they're so essential?
Emergency funds are crucial because they act as a financial safety net. Life is unpredictable, and you never know when an emergency might happen. Having that cushion can save you from going into debt or making rushed decisions.
That's so true. I've read that you should aim to have at least 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in your emergency fund. This ensures that if something unexpected happens, like losing a job, you can still cover your basic needs.
Exactly. And an emergency fund gives you peace of mind. You can sleep better at night knowing you're prepared for the unexpected. It's one less thing to worry about.
Yes, and starting an emergency fund doesn't have to be overwhelming. Even if you start with just a few dollars a week, over time, it builds up. The important thing is to be consistent.
And keep that money in a separate account so you're not tempted to dip into it for non-emergencies. It should be reserved strictly for unforeseen events.
Debt is something that many people struggle with. How do you think people should approach managing their debt?
Managing debt can be tricky, but the first step is to face it head-on. List all your debts and look at the interest rates. Then, prioritize paying off the highest interest debt first.
That's great advice. I also think it's important to not feel ashamed about having debt. Many people have it, and the key is making a plan to tackle it. Whether it's paying a little extra each month or consolidating loans, there are ways to manage it effectively.
Definitely, and avoid taking on more debt while you're trying to pay it off. That means being mindful of credit card use and not making big purchases unless absolutely necessary.
I agree. It's also helpful to speak with a financial advisor if you feel overwhelmed. They can provide you with a clear strategy and offer options you might not have considered. When we talk about debt, it's important to differentiate between good debt and bad debt. Thomas, do you think there's such a thing as good debt?
Absolutely, Jennifer. Good debt is generally considered an investment that will grow in value over time. For instance, taking out a loan to invest in education, buying a house, or starting a business, these are all examples of good debt because they have the potential to increase your wealth in the long run.
That's a great way to look at it. And then there's bad debt, which usually involves borrowing money for things that don't appreciate in value. Credit card debt is a prime example. If you're using credit to buy things like clothes, gadgets, or vacations, you could be stuck paying high interest rates for items that have little long-term value. Exactly. Credit card debt can quickly become overwhelming because of the high interest, especially if you're only making the minimum payment each month. It's easy to lose control and end up paying way more than the item was worth. Right. So, it's important to ask yourself if what you're borrowing for is truly necessary and whether it's an investment in your future. If it's not, it's better to save up for it instead.
Good point. And remember, even with good debt, it's crucial to manage it wisely. Borrow only what you need and have a clear repayment plan to avoid falling behind.
Yes, because no debt is good if it becomes unmanageable. The key is making informed decisions about when to borrow and having a strategy to pay it off. Thomas, I think one of the best ways to avoid falling into bad debt is by creating a financial plan. What's your take on that?
I agree, Jennifer. A financial plan acts like a roadmap for your money. It helps you outline your financial goals, whether that's paying off debt, saving for retirement, or planning for major purchases like a car or home. Having a plan gives you a clear sense of direction.
That's true. When you know what you're working toward, it becomes easier to stay on track. I think the first step in any financial plan is to assess where you currently stand. This means looking at your income, your savings, and your debts. Once you have a clear picture, you can start setting realistic goals.
Exactly. And I'd say the next step is creating a budget. Like we mentioned earlier, budgeting is crucial to ensuring that your spending aligns with your goals. And don't forget to factor in savings, both for long-term goals and emergencies.
That's right. A good financial plan also includes investment strategies. You don't want all your money just sitting in a savings account. Investing, whether in stocks, bonds, or other assets, can help your money grow over time.
And speaking of investing, it's important to diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread your investments across different sectors to reduce risk.
Absolutely, a solid financial plan isn't something you set once and forget about, though. You need to revisit it regularly, especially if your financial situation changes. Life is unpredictable, and your plan should adapt as your goals and priorities evolve. Now that we've discussed financial planning, let's dive into spending habits. Thomas, do you consider yourself a smart spender?
I like to think so, Jennifer. For me, being a smart spender means thinking critically about every purchase. Do I really need this? Is it worth the money? Can I get it at a better price somewhere else?
I feel the same way. I always ask myself, is this a want or a need? If it's a want, I make sure I have the room in my budget before I buy it. Impulse purchases can really throw off your financial plan if you're not careful.
Exactly. And with so many online shopping options available, it's easier than ever to spend mindlessly. I recommend creating a waiting period for non-essential items. If you still want it after a week or two, then consider making the purchase. But if you've forgotten about it, it probably wasn't that important to begin with.
That's a great tip. I also try to shop around for the best deal before buying. Comparing prices can make a big difference, especially for more expensive items.
And don't underestimate the power of coupons or discount codes. With a little research, you can often find ways to save even more money on purchases.
Definitely, another smart spending tip is to avoid lifestyle inflation. As your income increases, it can be tempting to spend more. But maintaining your spending habits while increasing your savings or investments is a smarter approach in the long run. Thomas, in your experience, what are some common financial mistakes people make?
One big mistake is not having an emergency fund, as we talked about earlier. Not having that financial cushion can lead to disaster if an unexpected expense comes up. Another mistake is relying too heavily on credit cards without paying off the balance in full each month.
Yes, credit card debt is a trap that many fall into. And what about the mistake of not saving early enough for retirement?
That's a huge one, Jennifer. A lot of people put off saving for retirement because they think they have plenty of time, but the earlier you start, the better. Compound interest works in your favor when you start early.
Exactly. And idea that many people don't take advantage of employer matching programs for retirement savings. If your company offers a 401k match, that's essentially free money you're leaving on the table if you don't contribute.
I agree. Another common mistake is not keeping track of expenses. It's easy to lose track of where your money is going, especially with small, daily purchases that add up over time.
Definitely, not having a budget or tracking your spending is like driving without a map. You'll eventually get lost.
And lastly, I think one of the most avoidable mistakes is not seeking financial advice when needed. Whether it's a financial advisor or even just doing your own research, there are resources available to help you make informed decisions.
Thomas, let's talk about setting realistic financial goals. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed when they think about their finances because their goals seem so far away.
That's a good point, Jennifer. It's easy to set big goals like I want to save $100,000 or I want to retire by 50, but those can feel out of reach if you don't break them down into smaller, more manageable steps. I always recommend starting with shorter-term goals that you can achieve in a few months.
Exactly. Breaking down larger goals into smaller milestones makes them less intimidating. For instance, if your goal is to save for a down payment on a house, start by setting a monthly savings target. Achieving those small wins along the way keeps you motivated.
I agree, and it's also important to make sure your goals are specific and measurable. Saying I want to save more money is vague. But if you say I want to save $500 a month for the next year, that's clear and you can track your progress.
Right. And don't forget to make them realistic. Setting a goal that's too ambitious can lead to frustration if you don't reach it. It's better to start small and build up as you go.
And I'd also add that it's okay to adjust your goals if your financial situation changes. Life happens, and sometimes you have to reevaluate your priorities. What's important is staying flexible while keeping your long-term financial health in mind.
Absolutely, financial goals should evolve as your life and circumstances change. But the key is to keep setting them and working toward them. Loans are a big part of most people's financial journeys, whether it's student loans, car loans, or mortgages. Thomas, what's your advice for managing loans effectively?
Managing loans effectively comes down to understanding the terms of the loan and having a solid repayment strategy. The first step is knowing exactly how much you owe and what the interest rate is. The higher the interest rate, the faster you should aim to pay off that loan.
That's a great point. I think a lot of people focus only on the monthly payment and don't pay enough attention to how much interest they're paying over the life of the loan. By making extra payments, even small ones, you can significantly reduce the total interest paid.
Exactly. For people with multiple loans, I recommend the debt avalanche method. Focus on paying off the loan with the highest interest rate first while making minimum payments on the others. This will save you the most money in interest over time.
That's a smart strategy. And for those struggling with loan payments, it's important to reach out to lenders early. Many lenders offer options like loan deferment or repayment plans that can help prevent defaults.
Yes, avoiding default is crucial because it can seriously harm your credit score. And once your credit is damaged, it becomes more expensive to borrow money in the future.
Definitely, managing loans effectively is about staying informed, proactive, and disciplined. And of course, making sure you don't take on more debt than you can handle in the first place. We just mentioned credit scores. Thomas, how important would you say credit scores are in managing personal finances?
Credit scores are incredibly important, Jennifer. They affect your ability to borrow money, and they can determine the interest rates you receive on loans and credit cards. The higher your credit score, the more favorable terms you'll get from lenders.
That's right. Your credit score reflects your creditworthiness, which lenders use to assess how likely you are to repay debt. People with higher scores get lower interest rates and better credit card rewards, while those with lower scores may have to pay more.
Exactly. And a big part of maintaining a good credit score is paying bills on time. Late payments can have a significant negative impact on your score. It's also important to keep your credit utilization low. This means not using too much of your available credit at any one time.
Another factor is the length of your credit history. Keeping older credit accounts open, even if you don't use them, can help improve your score by showing a longer history of responsible credit use.
Yes, and checking your credit report regularly for errors is another smart move. Mistakes on your report can bring down your score unfairly, and you have the right to dispute any inaccuracies.
Improving your credit score takes time, but it's worth the effort. The benefits of having a good credit score can save you thousands of dollars over the course of your lifetime. Thomas, have you heard of the FIRE movement? It stands for Financial Independence. Retire early. What's your take on it?
Yes, I'm familiar with FIRE. It's an approach to personal finance that emphasizes extreme savings and investments to achieve financial independence as early as possible, sometimes allowing people to retire in their 30s or 40s.
It's a fascinating concept. People who follow the FIRE movement live frugally and save as much as 50 to 70% of their income. The goal is to accumulate enough savings and investments to cover their living expenses indefinitely, so they no longer have to work unless they want to.
That's right. While the idea of retiring early is appealing, it requires a lot of discipline and sacrifice. Most people would have to dramatically cut their expenses and maintain a high savings rate for many years to achieve it.
I agree, and not everyone is in a position to pursue FIRE, especially if they have significant financial obligations or a lower income. But even if you don't aim for early retirement, the principles of FIRE saving aggressively and investing wisely can still help you achieve greater financial freedom.
Exactly. Whether you want to retire early or just build more financial security, adopting some FIRE strategies, like reducing unnecessary expenses and increasing your savings rate, can help you reach your financial goals faster.
And I think it's important to mention that FIRE doesn't necessarily mean never working again. Many people in the FIRE community continue working on projects or careers they're passionate about, but without the financial pressure. Investing is a crucial part of growing wealth, but it also comes with risks. Thomas, what do you think people should know about understanding investment risks?
The most important thing is that every investment carries some level of risk, Jennifer. Whether you're investing in stocks, bonds, real estate, or even your own business, there's always a chance that you could lose money. But understanding the type of risk can help you manage it better.
Right. For example, stocks tend to have higher potential returns, but they also come with more volatility compared to bonds. The key is to assess your risk tolerance, how much risk you're comfortable taking based on your financial goals and time horizon.
Exactly. And diversification is one of the best ways to manage risk. By spreading your investments across different asset classes, industries, and geographies, you reduce the impact of a poor-performing investment on your overall portfolio.
Another thing people should remember is that some risks are more within your control than others. Market risk, for example, is something you can't predict or avoid entirely. But you can control things like fees, taxes, and your asset allocation.
Great point. And understanding your investment goals is essential too. If you're saving for something long-term, like retirement, you might be able to take on more risk than if you're saving for a short-term goal like buying a house in a couple of years.
Exactly. And it's important to revisit your portfolio regularly. As your goals or financial situation change, your risk tolerance might shift, and you may need to adjust your investments accordingly. An emergency fund is one of the most fundamental aspects of financial stability, but many people overlook it. Thomas, why is having an emergency fund so important?
An emergency fund is crucial because it acts as a financial safety net. Life is unpredictable, and unexpected expenses like medical bills, car repairs, or job loss can pop up at any time. Having an emergency fund means you're prepared for these surprises without needing to rely on credit cards or loans.
Absolutely. It's recommended to have at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses saved in your emergency fund. This gives you enough cushion to cover basic expenses like rent, utilities, and groceries if something unexpected happens.
That's right, and it's important to keep this money somewhere easily accessible, like a savings account. You don't want to invest your emergency fund in the stock market, where it could lose value just when you need it.
One of the hardest parts of building an emergency fund is just getting started. But even saving a small amount every month can make a big difference over time. It's all about consistency.
Exactly. And once you have your emergency fund in place, you'll feel much more secure in your financial situation. It's peace of mind knowing that you have a buffer in case life throws you a curveball.
For sure, an emergency fund might not seem exciting, but it's one of the smartest financial decisions you can make. Medical expenses can be one of the biggest financial shocks, especially if you're not prepared. Thomas, what advice do you have for handling unexpected medical bills?
Unexpected medical bills can be overwhelming, but there are ways to manage them. First, make sure to review the bills carefully for any errors or discrepancies. It's not uncommon for mistakes to occur, and you might be charged for something that wasn't performed.
That's a good point. And if you can't pay the full amount upfront, many hospitals and medical providers offer payment plans. You can often negotiate a more manageable repayment schedule.
Yes, and don't hesitate to ask for financial assistance. Some hospitals have programs for patients who can't afford their bills, especially if the treatment was for an emergency.
Another tip is to stay in network with your insurance provider whenever possible. Out-of-network services can cost much more, and it's easy to avoid them with a little planning.
That's true. If you find yourself facing high medical costs, it's also worth exploring health savings accounts, HSAs, or flexible spending accounts, which allow you to save pre-tax dollars for medical expenses.
Medical bills can be stressful, but knowing your options and taking proactive steps can help you stay in control of your finances. Thomas, something I hear a lot is that people struggle with balancing their personal goals with their financial ones. How can someone strike that balance?
It's definitely a challenge, Jennifer. Personal goals like traveling, starting a family, or even pursuing a hobby often come with financial implications. The key is prioritization. You have to figure out what matters most to you and allocate your money accordingly.
Right, and that means sometimes you'll have to make trade-offs. You might not be able to do everything at once, but you can still enjoy life while being financially responsible by planning ahead and budgeting.
Exactly. A good budget reflects both your personal and financial goals. For example, if traveling is important to you, create a separate travel savings fund and contribute to it monthly. That way, you're planning for the future while still enjoying the present.
It's also important to remember that goals change. Just because you're focusing on saving for one thing now doesn't mean you can't shift your priorities later.
And don't feel guilty about spending money on things that bring you joy. Personal goals are just as important as financial ones, and both should be factored into your overall life plan.
That's a great way to look at it. Financial planning isn't just about numbers, it's about creating a life that aligns with your values and goals. Retirement might seem far away for some, but the earlier you plan for it, the better. Thomas, what are the key steps people should take to prepare for retirement?
One of the most important things is to start saving as early as possible, even if it's just a small amount. Thanks to compound interest, the earlier you start, the more your money will grow over time.
That's true. And it's not just about saving, but investing in retirement accounts like 401ks or IRAs. These accounts offer tax advantages that can help your savings grow even faster.
Right, and don't forget about employer contributions. If your company offers a 401k match, make sure to contribute enough to get the full match. It's essentially free money.
It's also important to regularly check your retirement plan to make sure it's on track. Life changes, and so do financial goals, so it's essential to adjust your savings strategy as needed.
Absolutely. Planning for retirement can feel overwhelming, but starting early and making small contributions consistently will put you in a strong position for the future.
And it's never too late to start. Even if you haven't saved much, it's better to begin now than not at all. Wow, we've covered so many important aspects of managing personal finances today, from budgeting and saving to investing and retirement planning.
Absolutely. These are practical tips that can help anyone take control of their financial future, no matter where they are on their journey.
Remember, it's all about setting clear goals, staying disciplined, and being mindful of both short-term and long-term financial decisions.
And as always, learning and improving never stops. Keep building your financial knowledge step by step, and you'll see great progress.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you found this conversation helpful. Don't forget to check out our other episodes to continue improving your financial literacy and, of course, your English listening skills.
Take care and stay financially healthy.